Welcome back to part 2 of this assembly video. If you are coming to this video fresh, you may want to go over to somewhere up here or here and find part 1 of this video where we rebuilt the Freehub body. So this guy here we had fully taken apart and rebuilt. Now Shimano doesn't have this in their documentation or really want you to take this apart. That's why we're splitting this into 2 videos. So if you did take this apart and put new bearings in it, you can rebuild it in the video before this one. This video here is going to focus on all of the wheel assembly for our DT Swiss E532 wheel and our SLX Freehub here. So this is the microspline Shimano Freehub that has the Scylence technology. So it is a FH-M7110-B for boost spacing, but if you don't have boost spacing, it's just a 7100. For this rebuild, you're going to need a 18mm, 17mm spanner wrenches. This is to put the left side cap back on. And then you will need you won't need, but to press this retaining ring back into place, sorry, not retaining ring, seal cover back into place, they recommend a Shimano, what is the part number on it? It is a TL-FH16 seal ring presser. So these things are like $20 on Amazon, maybe even more. This one though was a couple pennies and some time drawing it up because it's a 3D printed part. I'll put the links for this in the description. Really all they're trying to get you to do is to push on this spacer evenly. So it's probably not necessary. If you have anything, any socket to push on, probably if your fingers, if you're using your fingers well, you can get it even enough. It's not that big a deal. I figured I'd print this just so I had the dimensions and could post the 3D print files for you guys. So there it is. We'll see that coming in a little bit. All right, the first thing we need to do to get this wheel back together is to put the bearings into the hub itself. These are the, we're gonna work on the drive and brake side, and we're gonna be using these smaller ball bearing type assemblies. So on the brake side, you've got this is the smaller balls with 15 of them. And then on the drive side, you've got this guy here. There's 13 bigger balls here. So we're working with these two here. And what we're going to do is install them on the wheel and add some grease. So step 1, I'm going to bring you guys down so you can see a little bit better. There we go. Step 1 here is to take the drive side bearing and install it with the balls facing out. So this guy has a little lip there. You want the balls facing towards the drive side. It's going to click right into there. It doesn't click, it just sits right into there. And then before we put this inner cover on, and again, there is a little lip on this inner cover. We want that facing out. We're going to put some Shimano premium grease on it. So I mentioned in the last video that I would be comparing the Shimano premium grease that they recommend with the, where do I have it here? Super Lube. So I used Super Lube on my last project on the Dior. Instead, even though they recommended this, but I bought it this time, figured we'll give them a try. So let's see what the difference is. I know Super Lube is a pretty thick, clear premium grease. Not premium, multi-purpose. I'm sure it's premium, but I mean multi-purpose. And we've got, I'm gonna put this down for a sec. And we got Shimano over here, so let's do the little test. Come on. So Shimano is like a yellowish color. If we look at them here, we get the light on us. We've got Shimano is the yellower guy, and Super Lube is the clear guy. Just testing, they seem very similar. The Super Lube is a little tackier, I would say, but I mean, viscosities are almost the same. The pull test, this very scientific pull test, very similar. But if you are sitting here rubbing your fingers together, I want to say the Shimano is slightly slippier. Very technical, slippier term. I would say I would use either. I wouldn't, if you have Super Lube, use Super Lube. If you have Shimano's grease, use Shimano's grease. I don't know how much cheaper Super Lube is, honestly. I haven't bought Super Lube in a while, so I'm not sure exactly how much cheaper it is. I know this tube here was, I want to say, $15 or so. I would guess Super Lube's in the range of it, but very, very similar. So this bottle is a little nicer to put things on, but this makes more sense to keep around, I would guess. Who knows? It's up to you. I wouldn't be too concerned about either one of these. When we did the test between the seal grease for Freehub and the Freehub grease, there was more of a difference there. Either way, I'm not sure it's that big of a difference, but there we go. I've been wanting to test Super Lube against Shimano Premium and nobody else was doing it, so here we are. So, where were we? Nobody wants to hear about grease, Ben. Okay, so we want to throw, whoa, there's our axle going. That over there, lower you guys down here. We're going to put some Shimano grease on these ball bearings here. Okay, and I'm actually going to reach down inside here. Oh, you know what, I'm just going to rotate these bearings around. I want to get this everywhere on these balls, make sure they're nice and greased. I would not be afraid to put grease here. Okay, so we've got a decent amount of grease on those bearings now, and we want to install our inner cover here. It's going to retain these in place. This thing has some little, you're not going to be able to see them, but little edges there that clip into the plastic piece that's already installed in the wheel. So you can kind of catch one edge first. Then you just got to kind of deform the circle here so you can get the little edges to click into place. Come on. I guess that's in, actually. Yeah, that's in. Okay, it doesn't sit fully in there, but it sits enough in. Let's see if we can get this up here. If I try to, come on, try to pick at it, it doesn't want to come up. There's just a few little ridges on the side of that hold it into place. And now that it's in there, it's not super tight, but it should hold it on for what we need. Now let's go over to the brake side, and we're going to install this guy here so that the the ring that you can see, the larger outer ring, and then there's the smaller inner ring. The smaller is going to go towards the inside of the wheel. Larger is going to go towards the out. We're going to grease both sides of this. So this is the side before we put it in. Plop that right in there. Okay. And then we're going to grease right on top of this thing. Beautiful. And we can then put our seal lip ring on. So this guy here. And we will also grease the metal part of this. So greasing the metal part of this helps to seal and keep water and stuff out of our bearings. Beautiful. We're just going to press this guy into place. Sorry about that, Mike. Okay, here we go. This is where a socket can come in handy. Or, is this the right size? No, it is not. One of our old bearings. Yeah, so this is our old 6803 bearing. Just anything you can use to help you press it down a little more evenly. Okay, beautiful. So there we go. That's our 680, oh, not our 6803. That is our brake side bearing installed. So we've got both bearings now. We're going to insert the axle from the drive side. Now I don't see anywhere where it says to apply grease to the axle, so we are not going to. It's going to be riding on these bearings anyway. So we've got the long side of the axle with this rounded bearing guide that is going to be inserted into the drive side. So from the right into the left. Beautiful. Now we need to retain that here on the brake side of things. And to do that, we've got our screw down cone ring here. What do they call it? Left-handed cone. Left-hand cone is going to go in there. Tighten this down. This will retain our bearings and our axle. All right, we're back. I'm a novice at these ball and cone type bearings, or hubs, and it's showing. But what we want to do here, I've just added more grease to it. It's sticking a little bit. We don't want it to be super tight, so we're installing the end cap here on the non-drive side, and we're just threading it on. Then we can adjust the play in our bearings here to get the right amount of turn on it, right amount of tightness. So it is better. Yeah, our grease was not in there super well, and we were feeling it in the axle. So we probably could replace some bearings on this side as well. I'm basically hand tightening this thing. And there we go. So this is not perfect. I can feel some rough spots on here. So if anybody knows anything about these, I'm sure there's more videos that I will look up for this part. The pre-loading of your bearing tension on your wheel is an important part, so that you know that it's turning properly and it's got the right, tightness there that's holding these bearings on. I can definitely feel these bearings turn right now. I'm going to continue with putting this all back together, seeing as the rest of this is the important part for the Freehub rebuild. But you're going to want to do a little bit more research than I did on how to put this axle back into place. There's something I can learn here, so I'm hoping to learn that. Please comment, tell me what I'm doing wrong here or what I could be doing more right. So next step is to lock your bearing adjustment in place with this non-drive side end cap. So once you get your preload set properly for the bearing adjustment, then you put this on. Should be able to thread it on. Come on. Threads are messed up seams. But what we can do here is use our, oh, there we go, beautiful. We can use our 18 millimeter and a 17 millimeter spanner. Let me pull you guys back down. Cool. Our 18 can go on this cone adjustment. Then our 17 can go right here. And all we're doing is tightening that outer nut around the inner one so it locks our bearing adjustment in place. You should have a nice freely turning wheel now. This one is not bad, but there's definitely some tight spots in it. So we'll be doing some more digging into adjusting the preload of your bearings. All right, so now we've got our axle installed on the wheel with our bearings properly preloaded. We are going to then move on to the springs. So we've got the coil spring and the spring in Shimano's documentation. And the regular spring here is going to go right in here. There's a little groove it's going to sit into, just like that. The coil spring has little ticks right there, that little guy that's hanging off the edge. It only has it on one end. We want to put that guy down low, and there is a spot in the wheel where that clicks into place. So the little nub that is hanging off of that spring fits in only in one spot here. On the other wheels, I think on the XTRs, there's 8 of these engagement points, but for this one, there's one. what that lets it do is when it needs to spin, it's captured. So make sure that's in the right spot there. And we can then install our slider, which we had previously put on our Freehub. We're going to now put this in. So this is going to go with the lip facing down. So you can see that or not, there's a little lip on this guy. We want it facing towards the wheel. Right over top of the coil spring. And what that's going to do is give us the, it's going to interface between the Freehub and the spring so that it's not metal on metal. The next step is going to be put our Freehub on. That slider piece fits right into this groove here. If you can see that, it's kind of hard on this camera. Let's try this one. Yep, so this outer groove right around here that we put grease in before, that's where this is going to fit. And on that rebuild, we ended up putting the Shimano seal grease for Freehub in that groove. That's what it wanted there. So this sits right over top like so. That can all fall down into place. And our little cover here. Come on. We want to make sure that black cover is on there and meshed into the bearings, like so. And we did apply premium grease to the outside of the Freehub body. You get the Freehub in there, and then what you have to really make sure is, like I said, that the black cover piece here is meshed well with the Freehub teeth. If it's not, it'll pop out and not want to sit into the guides there. So it kept popping out because the teeth were hitting it down below, and I could not figure out what the issue was. Now we know. So the next step is to put our cap on, so we can easily just pop this cap back. Before we do that though, we do want to apply some of the Shimano seal grease to the outside. So seal grease for Freehub. We're going to install this. I'm sure you could use the premium grease for this. I don't see why this would matter either way. Don't be shy with it here. This is keeping all the water out of your Freehub. So the next step is to put the cover on, the seal ring cover. And this is what you want to lubricate with the Freehub seal hub grease for Freehub. And this, obviously, numbers will be in the description. And this is where the tool that I 3D printed comes in handy. All right. So honestly though, I mean, you don't need this tool. What you can do, press this into place and you're gonna be just fine. Like, this is not a hard thing to do. I mean, literally, that's it. All this is gonna do is allow me to do that a little more evenly. I wouldn't even waste time 3D printing this, to be honest with you. This is, that's wild that they even suggest that tool. So that's that. They say it helps with deformation on the cover there, but there's no reason to use that. Use your fingers. That's dumb. That's silly. Okay, finally we've got our retaining ring here with the dust cover on it. I ended up breaking this one off when I was tearing it apart because I didn't know what I was doing. But yours should look something like this with a little more plastic where that metal is showing. That's going to click right onto the Freehub body, I believe. Where does that go? Where are we? Oh no, it goes inside of the wheel here. So, do we have an opening for it to go into anywhere on this thing? It looks like. Just like that. Clicks right into place almost. Oh, buddy. Come on. Oh, you know what? I'm over top of the area. There we go. There we go. Nope, not yet. Come on. There we go. There is a little lip inside this plastic that centers the retaining ring, and it can't go into that, so you gotta make sure you are on both sides of it. Let's see if you can see it. There's our full wheel rebuilt. We didn't forget any parts, did we? No, we did not. Thank goodness. How are we looking? Something seem wrong to you fellas? Am I missing something here? Am I just dumb? Drive side. Oh, guys, I'm just dumb. This is how you'd pedal forward. This is backwards. All right. I don't know if I'd call it silent, but thanks for sticking with me. This is a big learning experience for me. I've never done a free hub like this before, and I've never really done the cone and ball bearing in the hub before. So if you guys have any links or any videos that can explain that a little bit better, how you want to preload bearings, that'd be great. Please link it below. In the description below, I will put the links for all of the greases that we used, all of the tools that we used, the 3D printed seal presser. If you really want it, I highly suggest don't use it. Don't use it. That's the dumbest kind of tool I've ever seen. Press that little thing on. That's all you need to do. All these greases will be in the links as well. The bearings I'll chuck in there as well. If you have any questions on the rebuild process, the disassembly of the Freehub is part 1 of the disassembly videos. The disassembly of the axle and everything is part 2. The reassembly of the Freehub was in part 1 of this reassembly series. I don't know how I'm going to label all these, but we'll figure it out. And then this video here obviously is the full wheel reassembly. Maybe we'll make one when I put on the bike and give it a test. I am going to do the front hub here as well, which is another SLX. Well, it's right here. It's another SLX cone and ball bearing style hub. Or not, yeah, it is a hub, front hub. So I'll make a video on that as well. Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry I've been so scatterbrained here at the end. We made it through. Appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, again, put them in the comments. If you have any thoughts or links to those videos that I want to see, put those in the comments as well. Subscribe, like, anything you guys can do to help the channel out really helps me. I'm going to keep trying to make videos like this that help me and my bikes, but also I know help you guys because I look for them as well. Any video that I'm looking for, I'm sure there's others out there looking for it as well. So thanks again, guys. I'll shut up. Have a good week.